Hi, I'm Lauren from Plan Plate, and today I'm making pizza crust two different ways: chicken crust and cauliflower crust. These are both options that are low carb or keto, and I've seen them circling around the internet a lot lately as a healthier version of regular pizza, so I wanted to try for myself to see which one I think is better. We're going to be rating the cost, the taste, the texture, the macronutrients, and just the overall liking. So to start, what you need to do is take your cauliflower and chicken and get as much moisture out of them as possible. So to do this, I'm going to put the cauliflower on the stove and cook off some of the moisture, and I'm going to pop the chicken into the oven to bake off some of the water. So the reason that we want to get as much moisture out of both the chicken and the cauliflower as possible is in order to make the crust crispy. So if there's too much moisture in there, you're going to have a soggy crust. It's not going to be able to hold the toppings on, and it's not going to be very similar to regular pizza. Chicken is out of the oven. The cauliflower is off of its heat. They've both had time to cook off some of their water, and now it's time to mix the crusts. All right, so we're going to start with the cauliflower crust. Dump in 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, 1 egg, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of oregano, salt, and pepper. And then we're going to mix it until kind of like a dough forms. So now we're going to mix together the chicken crust. I have the chicken in here. I shredded up some of the bigger pieces. And on this one, we're going to add 1/2 cup of Parmesan, 2 eggs, teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of oregano, salt and pepper. Now that I've mixed everything up, I'm going to form the crust. They also recommend taking another piece of parchment paper, putting it on top, just pressing it down even more to try and get it as thin as possible, and that's going to help it get crispy. So both my crusts are ready to go in the oven. I've cranked it up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'll give you guys a little close-up of what these look like. So that's the cauliflower crust and the chicken crust. The pizza crust is out of the oven. They both look good. This one is the chicken, this one is the cauliflower. Now they just need to rest for about 10 minutes so that the cheese in them can kind of re-solidify, and hopefully they'll be firmer once the toppings are on. I like to have the cheese on the top of my pizza and the toppings underneath, because then the cheese, I can broil it and it gets really like bubbly and delicious. So I'm going to start with the toppings on the sauce. I'm using pepperoni today. It's pretty much my only topping. And obviously you could use whatever you wanted: vegetables, sausage, pepperoni, different kinds of cheese. You could just have plain just cheese and sauce. It's up to you. Now, mozzarella cheese. It melts really nicely, it bubbles up really nicely, so definitely recommend to use mozzarella. You don't want to put too many toppings on these pizzas, because otherwise, like with this kind of crust, which isn't like real crust, it is less likely to kind of hold up if you put too much weight on it. So you don't want to go too crazy with the toppings. And then just for a little extra flavor, I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan on there. Now I'm gonna pop these both back in the oven for about 10 minutes, and we'll see what we get. So the pizza's in the oven cooking. I'm gonna compare the price and the macronutrients. And I'm just focusing on the crust, not the toppings or anything else. And this is ingredients from Walmart. So obviously, depending on the grocery store you go to, the prices are gonna be different. So with the chicken crust, the price was $4.98. The cauliflower crust was $4.12. So that's about an 86-cent difference. For macronutrients, the chicken had 840 calories and the cauliflower crust one had 480 calories. And that's for the whole crust. So obviously you're gonna cut that into pieces, but for the entire crust, the calorie difference is 360. In terms of the fat levels, there were 34 grams of fat in the chicken and 27 in the cauliflower. And that's a difference of 7. Then with protein, this is where there's a really big difference. The chicken crust, I mean, it makes sense. It's chicken, so it has a lot of protein in it. There's 136 grams of protein in the entire crust. And the cauliflower, all the protein really is coming from the cheese. So there's only 45 grams of protein in the whole cauliflower crust. So definitely the chicken wins on protein. And then the last macronutrient are carbohydrates. The chicken crust has 0. So this is really great if you're doing keto or, really low carb. It's got 0 carbs in it. And then the cauliflower crust pizza, obviously cauliflower is a vegetable. Its main calorie source is carbohydrates. So that has 19 grams of carbs. So chicken definitely wins on protein and carbohydrates. And then the cauliflower crust wins on overall calories and on price. Next up, we're waiting for the pizza to get out of the oven, and then we'll do a taste test and pick an overall winner. So I've taken both pizzas out of the oven. This is the chicken one, the cauliflower crust one. They both look fantastic. They both look like actual pizza. This is the cauliflower one. The edges got a little bit charred. And then this is the chicken one. Okay, so I cut into both pizzas and they look pretty good. This one right here is the chicken crust pizza and this one is the cauliflower crust. I mean, it's a little flimsy, but I mean, that's probably what a regular pizza would look like. We'll try a bite. Ooh, hot. Wow. That's pretty good. Nice salty flavor. There's not like a crisp on the bottom like a regular pizza, but overall the flavor's there. You can definitely taste the chicken. Yeah, I mean, overall I think that's a pretty good substitute. This is the cauliflower one. It's really it's not holding together super well. It still tastes pretty good. I would say it satisfies like a pizza craving, but it's not very crispy on the bottom. The nice part about the cauliflower crust is the cauliflower is a pretty mild flavor, so it's a little more similar to pizza crust. But overall, it's kind of hard to eat because it just didn't stay together very well. Maybe I would need to try a new recipe next time. So I would say in terms of texture, the chicken wins because it's really like holding up like an actual piece of pizza. This one is it's just not. Chicken wins definitely on texture. I'm gonna try them one more time to pick a flavor winner. I think I'm gonna go with chicken on this one too. The cauliflower is just a little more blah. Maybe I could have used a little bit more salt in the recipe, but overall, I really feel a lot more like I'm eating pizza with the chicken one. So chicken is the winner on flavor and texture. It looks the most like pizza. Sorry, I should probably stop eating it on video. So let's pick an overall winner. Chicken was a little bit more expensive and more calories. However, it had a lot of protein, no carbs. And overall it just held together better. And then the cauliflower crust has less calories and was a little bit cheaper. But overall, I think that the chicken is the winner here. Depending on obviously what your goals are and what you're going for. If you want the lower calorie and slightly lower cost, then definitely go with cauliflower. But to me, chicken was the clear winner today. I'm excited to keep this recipe handy and I'll try it again soon.